Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a massive, fundamental shift in how products are built and managed. Let's dive right into why everyone in your company, from the CEO all the way to the newest marketing intern, suddenly has a very detailed, highly opinionated take on your product roadmap. And more importantly, we're going to talk about exactly how you can manage this new reality. If you've been feeling like your authority as a product manager is slipping lately, trust me, you are not alone. And we're going to explore exactly how to get it back.
So, picture this absolute nightmare scenario for a second. You're walking into your quarterly product review, you've done your homework, you're ready to go, but then your VP of sales walks in armed with a fully prioritized product backlog. And they didn't spend weeks researching it. Nope, an AI agent whipped it up for them in just 20 minutes. Or maybe it's your CEO forwarding an AI-summarized article about a competitor, or an engineer bringing in a fully formed prototype they threw together over the weekend with an AI coding assistant. Suddenly, literally everyone has an incredibly polished plan for what you should build next.
What we're witnessing here is the total collapse of information asymmetry. Think back to the past for a minute. You were always the person in the room who had done the absolute most thinking about the product. You interviewed the customers, you mapped out the opportunity space, you ran the experiments. Sure, your stakeholders had opinions, but you had the data. That asymmetry gave you your authority. But fast forward to 2026, and that asymmetry, it's completely gone. Because today, every single stakeholder has a ChatGPT account. So the big question is, what do you do when the information gap that justified your entire role completely disappears?
Section 1. The new stakeholder trap. I bet you've heard a stakeholder demand exactly like this recently. We need to add AI to the onboarding flow, right? And they probably backed it up with some really impressive-looking market research they compiled overnight. Now, the standard advice for managing stakeholders used to be pretty straightforward. Bring data, speak their language, align with their OKRs. And hey, that worked great when data was scarce and took a lot of effort to gather. But now, their AI agent gathers that data for them 24 hours a day.
Let me introduce you to your new adversary, the informed but ungrounded stakeholder. This is a totally new problem that simply didn't exist 5 years ago. They come to you with a strong position, backed by what looks like real evidence. But when you look closely at that evidence, you realize it's entirely generic. It's just broad industry trends, competitor feature lists, analyst reports. It has absolutely nothing to do with your specific customers, your specific product, or your specific stage of growth. The trap here is trying to fight fire with fire. If they bring 10 generic market data points and you bring 20, you're just playing their game. And in a battle of who has the most impressive-sounding generic sources, honestly, the product manager usually loses.
So, when you find yourself faced with an absolute avalanche of market data from a stakeholder, you have to shift the paradigm by asking one very simple question. Did any real customer actually ask for this? Because when a stakeholder says you need AI in your onboarding because all your competitors are doing it, well, they might be right about the competitors, but they are completely guessing about whether it'll actually help your users. Drawing a hard line between those two things, that is the entire job of a product manager today.
Section 2. The ultimate evidence advantage.
Check out the massive difference here between the generic data an AI agent hallucinates on the left and the ultra-specific truth that only you possess on the right. You simply cannot out-research an AI running around the clock. You just can't. But look at that right column. Verbatim customer quotes, observed user behavior, validated experiment results, documented decisions with real outcomes. This right here is your ultimate evidence advantage.
Here's the absolute reality of the situation. Your real-world support tickets, your session recordings, and your raw research, they exist entirely outside of ChatGPT's reach. They are not in any training data set anywhere. They are genuinely yours. So when a stakeholder arrives with a shiny new AI-generated roadmap, the question is no longer whose data is better. You completely change the conversation by pointing to 3 specific customers who experience a specific friction, backed up by a real session recording and a live experiment. Evidence is literally the only argument that survives this AI information flood, because it's highly specific.
Section 3. The new PM playbook. So, maintaining this specific evidence base, that's your new primary job. But there is a major catch. If you have to spend 30 minutes hunting down some scattered Slack thread, or digging through your own hazy memory of a call from 3 months ago, or trying to load up an expired Loom video while a stakeholder pushes back, well, you've already lost the room. By the time you finally find the quote that backs you up, the meeting is over. Your evidence absolutely must be at your fingertips the exact second a challenge arises.
Okay, here is the exact methodology you need to adopt to build an impenetrable defense against those ungrounded product requests. These 3 habits, documenting your decisions with evidence, Making that evidence instantly searchable and preempting stakeholder objections will instantly shift you from scrambling for answers to totally commanding the room. Let's break these down.
Taking a close look at habit 1, this is what proper documentation actually looks like. Because just writing down, "we decided to build X" is entirely useless now. You need a narrative of evidence. You need to be able to say, hey, we decided to build X because 3 enterprise customers described this exact friction on these specific dates. We tested a workaround which moved our target metric by C%. See the difference? It's a specific, undeniable case that any stakeholder, no matter how well armed they are with AI research, is going to struggle to dismiss.
Moving over to habit 3, the absolute most effective stakeholder management isn't reactive at all. It's proactive. Sending the relevant customer evidence to your stakeholder before they even step foot in the room with their AI-generated counterproposal is incredibly powerful. Think about it. If they read 3 verbatim customer quotes about why their favorite new feature won't actually solve the user's problem before the meeting even begins, they walk in pre-aligned rather than pre-positioned for a fight.
Section 4. Compounding credibility.
Now, to be fair, it's important to acknowledge that not every single AI-generated idea is wrong, and your evidence framework actually helps validate the good ideas too. Sometimes a stakeholder's AI analysis will hit the nail on the head and identify a real customer problem you just haven't prioritized yet. When they bring that proposal to you, your searchable record of customer evidence is just as useful. You check the record. Has this come up before? Is there a strong signal in our support tickets? If the answer is yes, you now have the rigorous evidence to move fast and confidently. Whether the specific customer truth confirms or refutes the stakeholder's proposal, you completely avoid playing their game of competing opinions. You push back or you move forward with absolute specificity.
The goal here isn't just to win arguments against your own team. The real goal is making the absolute best product decisions. And when you do this consistently, something kind of magical happens. After you repeatedly demonstrate that your specific evidence predicts exactly what your experiments confirm, you start to earn a compounding credibility. And it completely changes the dynamic of your team. Stakeholders will actually stop bringing those AI-generated roadmaps to your meetings. Instead, they'll start coming to you first just to ask what the evidence says.
This right here represents a total paradigm shift. You literally cannot out-argue AI-empowered stakeholders with prettier slides and more industry data. Stakeholder management is no longer a soft skills or a communications problem. It is now an evidenced infrastructure problem. You have to out-organize them with a continuous discovery practice that is completely connected and immediately searchable.
You really need systems designed for this new reality. And that is exactly why purpose-built tools like Specky exist. These tools keep your customer interviews, your experiment results, and your product decisions inextricably connected in one giant searchable graph. That way, the exact moment a stakeholder walks in and challenges your roadmap with a ChatGPT summary, you can instantly pull up the exact real-world insight to ground the conversation back in reality.
I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Everyone now has an opinion about your roadmap, and they have the AI tools to make those opinions sound incredibly convincing. So, in a world absolutely flooded by infinite, generic, AI-generated data, will you choose to be the one person in the room, bringing the undeniable, specific truth of the customer to the table? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I challenge you to start building your evidence advantage today.